This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Good morning. It is a Monday morning as we start this week in America's Music City inside our brand new digs at the HOF House on the Opry Plaza. Kelly Sutton, Charlie Mattos, Lexi Carter, Jeff Roberts is upstairs. We're here, still has that new studio smell, which is really just coffee because that's what we're drinking every morning.
But what a good smell.
It's a great smell. It is fun, too, to see all of the pictures that are popping up on social media. I know Erin Cooper, who's here in the afternoons, she had some people that were in here. And then our girl Twinny was here last week, and she was posting some video. And I'm like, gosh, this looks really good.
Yeah,
this
everybody wants to come see the new space.
Yeah. I'm getting a lot of requests. People that haven't returned my emails are all of a sudden returning my emails now.
Hey, can we come by?
I see. It's like when you get a new car and everybody wants a ride.
Yeah.
That's fine. We'll let you come by and see what's going on. We've got an amazing show coming up for you here in just a little bit. We've got two friends from the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum who will be here. Michael McCall is going to be here talking more about that brand new Luke Combs exhibit that opened and runs all the way through into 2025. Also, Angela Stefano Zimmer is going to be here. She's telling us about that expanded box set CD from Where I Stand, the Black experience in country music. We talked about earlier, we were having some friends in that came in. I guess Reese Palmer was in, about a month ago?
Yeah, they had a big celebration at the CMA Theater. Yeah. And Reese was kind of co-hosting. Miko Marks joined her
I
on
love
stage.
Miko so much.
Yeah, I think Darius Rucker was a part of that show as well. But so we kind of put the spotlight then, and now an expanded box set to help celebrate. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
All of that's coming up for you in just a little bit. Plus, I've got some entertainment headlines. I've been watching and seeing all the things that have been going on over the weekend. Coming up in just a little bit, we'll tell you more about Bunny XO, which is Jelly Roll's wife.
Okay.
And why she and I have a lot in common. So she's trying to become a Disney princess as well, and I fully support that. Also, Post Malone and Luke Combs riding around downtown Broadway on a flatbed trailer. It wasn't a hallucination. That actually did happen. And one of our friends got married. So we're celebrating all of those things and so much more coming up for you here in just a little bit.
More Coffee, Country, and Cody is on WSM.
But gosh, I thought about the name of the exhibit on the way over here, and it's called The Man I Am, right? And I realized that the man that I am is because of all the people, not only in this room, a lot of you in this room, but a lot of people that aren't in this room too. The people that I write songs with, my parents, my friends, my family. That's what makes me who I am. And that I feel like has been the thread of my whole career, is that I feel like I'm surrounded by wonderful people.
You're hearing Luke Combs. That was the opening night of the new exhibit at the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum. It's called Luke Combs, The Man I Am. And joining us right now, the Associate Director of Editorial from the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum, Michael McCall. That was a special night.
It was a great night, yeah. So, and the great part about it was Luke was very engaged all along, from the beginning of the exhibit to the end. And a lot of times when we do contemporary artists who are as big as he is, they're very busy. And they don't always have a lot of time to personally participate.
Yeah,
but he was very engaged with us all the way. So
he has been touring all summer long. You can't keep up with him. I mean, you look at his tour dates and he is all over the place. So how far in advance, Michael, do these things get planned? Because it looks like to us, we're like, oh, look, they just opened a new exhibit. But I know there's so much work that happens.
We're constantly sort of discussing and sometimes debating, who do we do next in this space. So the process goes on, back years, and Luke's been started to get on the list, a couple of years ago. At least a year ago, we had contacted them, started working with them, because there's a lot of collecting to go on. And of course, we're going to North Carolina and all kinds of places to grab things, and meeting with his people. And it involves a lot of stuff, and then we bring it back and figure out how to stage it and tell the story, through the artifacts and through our museum panels that sort of explain it. And and the great thing, as I said, he was engaged from the start. We have a couch that he loaned us where he used to write songs, sitting in his apartment, the little 2-bedroom apartment with his friends. And he had so many songs were written there, and we have that couch as part of the exhibit, which is one of my favorite artifacts of it. So.
I mean, I'm looking at it, and we're seeing some of the images right now if you're watching us on our streaming devices. But we saw there was a Pooh Bear, and I'm like, okay, you don't think about big old Luke Combs who's out there singing on stage as little Luke Combs with his Pooh Bear, but it's so cute because it really does make him just a more of a real human, especially for fans.
Yeah, I think in exhibits we always try to get some of the early story, because how they got into music, how they grew up, because it so much informs what their music is about their stardom, about who the people they are, the man I am.
The
in
man
this case,
I am.
You know. So, and the great thing about Luke is he does have this tight family and this old friendship circle, you know, that have gone back to the guys who he first played guitar with, and the first guys he performed in small little bars and around Appalachia State and Boone, North Carolina, you know, there's that whole thing. So he's just and so many people they love him so much there that everybody wanted to talk about him, you know.
Oh
so.
my gosh.
It's hard to watch that clip and not think that in a few decades he may have a permanent home at the Country Music Hall of Fame. I mean, the number ones in a row. It's
Certainly started well.
Yeah, pretty impressive. Who have you worked with that was the best pack rat? Who had the most stuff of? Because you've curated over 20 of these in your 17 years.
Reba. Reba was great.
Yeah.
Reba not only was a pack rat, but she had it organized in boxes with papers inside saying what it was, what year, what tour, that kind of stuff. Very, very organized about it. As opposed to, then the opposite of that was like Blake Shelton, who had nothing. He called his mom and she says, "I think there's something back in a closet," you know. And they found an old notebook and a couple things from his childhood. Yeah. And Brad Paisley had a lot of stuff, and because his parents have been a part of his. He started young. His parents have been a part of his career. We went to his parents' house, and it's like a shrine to Brad, and they just they're so, interested in presenting him in the right way, and they had, from little tricycles, and he started so early, so we had a lot of early pictures that they had of him performing.
What I love too is that obviously the artifacts are behind glass, but you can get so close and really feel like you're right in there with them. You guys did a Trisha Yearwood one.
Yes,
back,
that was a great one. That was an early
ago.
one. Yes.
One of my favorites was looking at her album collection. And Kelly, you'll love this. She wrote "Property of Patricia Yearwood" on the front of all the albums. I love that.
Don't anybody take this from me. Well, and I have
she probably
to
had
imagine,
roommates, to make sure. So.
You were talking about this, but I would have to imagine so many of these you're working really closely with the family because the artist may not be the one that thinks these things are precious, but certainly mom and dad and aunt and uncle and grandma and grandpa are like, "Oh, look at my baby! I'm going to cut out the newspaper." Back to
someone like Casey Musgraves, her family is so involved in her career and kept so much of her stuff, and her mom was there a lot, helping us, kind of guiding us through the story.
I know she has an Aunt Jane that's really active on Facebook.
Exactly, yes.
She tags me.
I think Miranda's parents, being Randall Lambert's parents, being so engaged with her career. So
just thinking about this, Michael, how do you go about putting these together? Are you trying to storyboard first and then kind of see if it matches up, or do you just have to see what you get and then figure out the way that it's going to?
We usually have an idea. Obviously, most of them are sort of looking over a career and life, but sometimes it's a little more specific, especially on people who've had 50 or 60 years careers. So we may pick an aspect of that career or some angles within that career to sort of focus on. But it changes every time in some ways, but also there's certain things you want and look for, and often what things the artists don't think about. They may not have thought that we might want this, some jewelry from when they were kids, or outfits when they were young, or those kinds of things, and we do. So.
Well, with Luke, we just saw his cassette tape of Tracy Chapman's Fast Car record, right?
Wow.
So
the one that he played.
Yeah, that's so cool. And you can even see the plastic, like it's worn. It's a game used cassette,
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, you see all of these different things, and even though it might be something like that he didn't think anything about, the fact that it's still there, it's just this really cool time capsule to see what made the man.
Right, exactly.
So to speak. You've been there for 17 years. And you've done so many of these exhibits. Is there a piece of memorabilia that when you got it, it just made you giddy? Like you were so excited that you guys could showcase it?
That's a good one. I think recently, with Patty Loveless, she had pictures of her dad and some coal mining stuff that just is so moving, and you get a real sense of where she came from and who she is, or a picture of the day that she got a guitar at 12, and that was the day she got it. And her family was poor, and they had to save a lot for her to get this a guitar for her. And it was you could see where she's standing, that they weren't a wealthy family, but you could also see the joy on her face, and those kinds of things, those personal kinds of things. There's a lot of stuff with her brother Roger, who she began performing with, and
they were the singing, swinging Ramies.
Yes,
Ramies.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's she would not be here if Roger hadn't pushed her, because as shy as Patty is, Roger was sort of a hillbilly hustler. He's out there banging. He was the one who had him walk up to Porter Wagner's door and knock. And to see if he was there, and he was, and got him started.
He was her Colonel Tom Parker.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what he was.
Yeah.
But family and friendly, and didn't take very much from her. So,
and we also did a showcase on so many things, but my favorite, I think, has been Western Edge, because seeing those nudie suits all together, like the Flying Burrito Brothers, so many different aspects of that I wasn't innately familiar with. There's so much of Nashville history that I feel like I know a lot about. But when we're talking about Western Edge country and California country, and that wasn't in my era. So getting to see that exhibit is really, really cool. And it's still on there as well.
It'll be till September 2025. So it's a long-term exhibit, running for 3 years. Those suits in particular, they're part of an iconic album cover, the Gilded Palaces and the first Flying Burrito Brothers albums, but they stopped wearing them within months. By a year later, the bass player left. So those suits had not been in the same room since 1970 or so.
It was cool,
and
man.
So, but the nice, and what they emblematic of is they took part of Nashville culture, which were these nudie suits, which were made in Hollywood, but turned them into this sort of rock and roll aspect of them by the way they decorated them. The various things that they had stitched into that fabric, it would not have been on the country stars.
Yeah, the marijuana leaf probably wouldn't have made it
Marijuana
onto somebody going onto the stage of the
There's
Grand
a lot
Ole
of stuff
Opry.
here, but I won't name them all.
There's some really fun
see
ones
them
there.
To see it,
So with like an exhibit like that, from concept to completion, a year and a half,
we start our first visit to LA was February 2020, which, if you remember,
well, you snuck that one in, right?
Yeah.
Because you weren't going in March of 2020.
2 weeks later, we kind of gone. But we made our first interviews. Talked to Chris Hillman inside the Troubadour in the bar, which was a great interview. But we had been working on it for a year before that. So we had laid all the groundwork and made all the contacts, and it had a lot of different forms. First, we were going to do California country, then LA country. Then it really focused down into this Troubadour, Ash Grove crowd, all the guys who came out of folk music and bluegrass, who became the stars of country rock. And it's not country music, but it's so country influenced, that and all of them loved certain types of roots music that they wanted to incorporate, and it changed rock and roll, because rock and roll at that point hadn't had a lot of that in it. So
one of my favorite parts about that one is because it's such a large exhibit. Yes. I think I've been through it 3 times, and every time I think I see something like I didn't see the last time, because it's overwhelming.
Right,
and
you let
it
it's a
soak
lot in one day. Yeah,
well, and it's one of the great things about being a member. You can go as often as you want.
That's
and
right.
all the great specialty programs like songwriter sessions, musician spotlights, that's all included in your membership. It's one of the best deals in town.
Thank you,
it really
Johnny,
is.
Well, we certainly appreciate you coming in and telling us more about it. Again, the Luke Combs exhibit. It is Luke Combs, The Man I Am. It's open through June of 2025, so we got a little bit of time.
Yes, exactly.
But when you come into town, you got to stop by and see it. Michael, thanks.
Yeah, it's always great to come by the great WSM radio, and you guys are so generous with us. So.
Oh, we love having you, and we've got some really cool pieces in there that we need to go tell you about.
Good.
We're going to play some Luke for you right now.
Coffee, Country, and Cody, highlighting the exhibit American Currents, State of the Music, on display at the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum.
In addition to, trying to have a really broad look at what it means to be a country artist, right? We also take a look at artists who pay homage and really take influence from people who came before them. There's a whole case titled Unbroken Circle that looks at different pairings. So you have Megan Maroney, who cites Casey Musgraves as a huge influence on her, and it's really cool to see their stuff paired up together. Haley Witters and Martina McBride too, same thing. It's just so cool to see that together, and then to like hear those artists talk about each other with such reverence and such, they're so special to the artists they influence, and it's cool to get to kind of show that in artifacts.
That bridges the gap too. It's the generational gap between a Martina and a Haley, realizing Haley knows full well she wouldn't be doing what she was doing if there was no Martina McBride.
Right, and it sort of just brings into this exhibit the point that, this is a history that keeps going and keeps building off of what was there before it, and it's not just what's in those cases up there and what's in those cases down here. It all ties together in a way.
That is Angela Stefano Zimmer and myself. We were hanging out at the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum, just looking at the American Currents exhibit, and I said, hey, stop by and see our new space. And you did.
Thanks for the invite. It looks
I
incredible.
Know. We're so happy to see you again.
Yeah, you guys too.
Man, it's so much fun to be in your space and to get to walk through these exhibits that I know that you guys have spent countless hours on putting together, but the American Currents in particular was just opening when we were talking about it, and it's just really special. It has to be one of the favorites right now for people coming through,
and it's so fun to just like get to do it every year again and again, and that's this year's, but we're already about ready to start talking about next year's, so it's gonna keep going.
Well, that's the cool part. It's living and breathing, right? That one evolves, which I love about that exhibit.
And it's great because you come one year and see it, and you'll see something different than you would have seen 2 years ago, or that you'll see next year, and it's always fun. Even when it's the same artist, there's new stuff from them.
And you have something really cool that you brought with you today.
I do.
This is the expanded box set from Where I Stand, the Black Experience in Country Music. You said this first was released 1998?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So in the late 90s, Dr. Cleve Francis, a country artist and also a very respected and regarded surgeon, and Nelson Wilson from the American Baptist College came to the museum and asked us to, consider putting out this box set that focuses on Black artists within country music, going all the way back to, even pre when country music was country music. And at the time, it went up to what was then relatively current, but it's been 25 years or whatever that is.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's that long ago for me, but then when you think about it like that, you're like, oh wow, yeah, we've had a lot of life in between there and then.
Right. And so the fourth disc of this tackles the year 2000 and onward.
So you've got people like Blanco Brown and Cowboy Troy and the Warren Treaty and of course Reese Palmer and Miko Marks, and they actually came in and talked to us about this because you had a special night that was at the Hall of Fame and Museum.
Yeah, in the middle of June, Reese and Shannon Sanders co-produced a concert to celebrate the release of this box set and the online exhibit that goes with it. So they helped us put together that incredible lineup. Darius Rucker, who else? Huffy Jenkins from Carolina Chocolate Drops.
Wendy Moten.
Thank you. Yeah. So many, just, it was incredible. And getting to just watch, I, was in a spot that I could watch Reese watching it, which was so fun. And to watch Frankie Staten was sitting behind me and to hear her watching. It was really, really fun. And it was just you could tell that the hard work that they had all put in paid off so well.
Frankie is one of those voices that people may not know, but they really do need to know. And I believe, was she the first African-American to play the Grand Ole Opry, first female?
You would know that better than I would.
I think it is. I think she is.
Okay.
But I remember I had a chance to meet her. We did a documentary and I had a chance to meet and talk to her. And it's just, again, that history that so many people don't understand was the foundation. And I was just looking at the disc 1 that's in this expanded box set has D. Ford Bailey and Taylor's Kentucky Boys and so many that we probably aren't familiar with in today's society, but you need to know where you came from.
Right. And it's a lot of that string band music that, then inspired Carolina Chocolate Drops and inspired Rhiannon Giddens and, this music that you think of the banjo as a white instrument because of the way that it's been positioned over time. And it's all of these artists that were really doing it.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And I love the spectrum because, I mean, you'd expect Charlie Pride, you'd expect Ray Charles, and they are very prominently featured, as they should be. But then the Staples singers, the Supremes, I mean, the sheer spectrum is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, for the third disc, the second disc. Second disc. Sorry, I had to get the right disc there.
I'm looking. It's like Ray Charles.
Right.
And Fats Domino's on there.
Right.
Yeah.
It focuses on these artists that you might not necessarily think of as country, but were so influenced by and influencing, and it really brings it all together and shows how everything mixes together and how genre is very blurry when it comes down to it.
Etta James.
Yeah.
I mean, the names and the songs and the big voices, and then to look at adding the fourth disc, it just had to be done because it really did stop so long ago, and we've had such a resurgence.
Right, and Reese, who is out here, she's got her own radio show. She is, one of these people who is really trying to make sure that this history isn't forgotten.
Right.
She's not on here, or wasn't on here, and so with that fourth disc, you can get people like her. You can get, like you said, Blanco and Cowboy Troy and all of these people that have been continuing this legacy since then.
And we're just seeing it continue to move forward. So it's just a really important story. And then there's an online presence that you can go on and do the online exhibit that's free, right?
Right, yeah. So the online exhibit is pretty much the carbon copy of this, but just online, and you can listen to everything that's on here. You can read all of our liner notes, all of the essays. There's also a section that's supplementary. So there's some programming that the museum's held that corresponds to the box set. I think like a conversation with the Black Opry and Frankie, who helped run the Black Country Music Association back in the 90s and early 2000s. There's videos of Beyonce and the Chicks performing at the CMAs, things like that maybe couldn't fit or couldn't get licensed for the box set that we were able to include on there.
And the photos and the liner notes are terrific, by the way.
They look so good.
Yeah.
And we need to mention the quilts and the artwork that goes with it. The designs that you see in the box set and in each CD are from the Gee's Bend quilters in Alabama. And each disc, there's a quilt that corresponds to that time period. And so it's incredible. It's so beautiful.
So for folks watching and thinking, man, I want to add that to my collection, what's the easiest way to do that?
You can visit the museum and grab it there. And we're the only people who are selling it right now. So yeah.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And the best thing really is to come down, take in all the exhibits, see the American Currents, see the Luke Combs exhibit, hang out over at Western Edge, and then you can walk home with a box set.
And you can purchase from the online experience as
You
well
can,
if you're
yes.
not going to be making your way to Nashville.
Yes,
Because we've got a lot of folks around the country. So that's cool.
All right. What's your favorite corner? I have to ask you because you get to wander through there, and I wander through there, and I'm like, oh, I love it over here. I like this. I like to see this. I like to look at that. What do you have a favorite corner?
Ooh,
I know it's
that's
hard.
a really good
It's hard
question.
to choose because there's so many.
I kind of love, you can kind of like go back in the dark where the hee-haw set is.
And with the
And
little
you watch-
benches, right?
Yeah. Just sit back there and watch people come in and watch that film that's sort of about like country music on TV, and Glenn Campbell narrates it, and it's very soothing, and that's a nice little corner. And you can kind of see Elvis's car from there.
And the cornfield right in back,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's amazing. What were you going to say? You were going to add something?
Oh, I was going to say that for people who can't make it to the museum
Yeah.
for the box set too, and couldn't make it to see the show in person, on September 12th, it'll be available on our site to watch in full.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
I love this.
Or if you were there and just want to go relive it.
Of course.
And if folks have never seen a show at the CMA Theater, I've never been to Europe and the old opera houses there, but that three-tiered seating is just fantastic.
It's in the round. There's like no bad seat.
Right.
I've tested a lot of them.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in. It's good to
thank
see
for having
you.
me. Yeah, you guys too.
Next
Thanks.
time I'll come hang out with you again.
I like that
We have
plan.
fun. She goes around and tells us all about the things, and I just have the
Oh,
best
yeah.
day
You guys
ever.
are up to trouble. I
I
can
know.
tell.
More coffee, country, and Cody is on WSM.
Good morning and welcome in. It is the WSM headquarters. We are here at the HOF House on the Opry Plaza. Still in our brand new studio and figuring everything out. I feel like we're getting really good at this. This is, week 3 of us having a brand new car and pushing all the buttons, Charlie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Good news is I haven't lost the keys, so that's good.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's always tough when you're like, who's got the spare set?
You got the spare, right?
Can I tell you the worst story ever?
Oh, no.
Yeah, my last car, not my current car. It's the little fob and it's fancy and whatever. Went to take Reese to the movies. She was younger. This was several years ago. She had a bunch of trash, and so I was grabbing all of that. And we were going in the movie theater, and we go to watch the movie, and then I go to leave, and I cannot find my keys anywhere. And I realized I'd thrown them in the trash. And I had to dig through movie theater trash cans. Y'all, absolutely, under no circumstances should you ever look through those trash cans. And the seats and underneath the seats, which also make you really never want to go to the movies again.
I'd rather search a bar.
I never found them.
Underneath the movie.
They actually, they incinerate their garbage out back, and I had just missed it, so they burned my keys up. I know. Lexi's gasp is exactly how I felt.
So
it was horrible.
So you got soda, you got popcorn. Oh, did you get nacho cheese?
Oh, yes, and pieces of pretzel and some chewed up Skittles. I mean, just all of it. Yeah.
Chewed up Skittles. Like someone didn't like the Skittle and said, I don't want this.
I can't make this up. It was really not a good moment. So hold on to those keys. Don't lose the spare set. You don't want to go digging through the trash anywhere. And to this day, even when I got rid of that car, I was like, sorry, only one set of keys. I didn't even order another one. It was fine. Wow. Yeah, I rolled the dice every day when I left.
I think Renee's car has 2 sets, but both of my cars just have 1 key. So yeah, I'm really in trouble.
Yeah, don't lose that.
Okay.
Let's talk entertainment headlines. We got a lot to cover. I'm still upset about this, and I am filing a formal complaint. Here it is. Kelly Roll was the name Jelly Roll and I had when we would do interviews. I was Kelly, and he was Jelly, and we were Kelly Roll together. But apparently, Machine Gun Kelly didn't get that memo because now he's calling himself Kelly Roll, and I don't like it. They're together. They're doing a collaboration. It's kind of fun. I love hearing the idea behind it. Think Country Roads from John Denver, but this is their take on it. That's all you get. It's just a little snippet. So, yeah, they've got something cooking up, and they're going to release it soon. Again, Machine Gun Kelly and Jelly Roll. This isn't the first time that Machine Gun Kelly has, put his toe in the country music pool. He actually did a cover of Sun to Me, Zach Bryan's song. That was, I think, probably last year. So
our water is warm. You just got to jump in. Just dive right in.
Cannonball.
So, yeah. The video is very cinematic.
I know. I am
so I'm
excited.
Looking forward to seeing what the finished product looks like.
I have a feeling it's going to be like a little mini movie. So we'll get more info on that. We'll let you know.
It looks like they're looking down, and you're in a grave, looking up at them, looking down on you on a rainy, blustery day.
Yeah. Ooh, maybe it's a murder ballad. We love those in country music.
Yeah, Lonely Road. Yeah.
Lonely Road. We'll tell you more when we get it. Hey, by the way, Jelly Roll is currently on the chart twice. Number 20, he is on there with his new single, I Am Not Okay. And then he's currently at number 9 with Dustin Lynch in Chevrolet. So Jelly is killing it. Now, here's where I just fell in love with his wife, Bunny. I've interviewed her and talked to her many times. She has her own podcast. Very funny lady. But she and I apparently have a lot more in common than I even knew. Because Bunny also tries to rescue every wild animal that she can. And if you are keeping track of my menagerie at home, I currently have 5 deer, 3 little fawns that still have their spots, and 2 mamas that I feed every day. I have at least 3 hummingbirds that come to visit, including one that sat in my hand. We named her Shortcake. I have a multitude of squirrels and chipmunks. We did have an armadillo at one point.
Can I go back to the naming of the hummingbird for just a second? So we named, how much input
Reese.
did... Really?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I said, oh, look at this sweet little hummingbird. She's like, oh, her name is Shortcake.
Okay.
I was like,
it didn't sound like a Paul thing.
No,
to me,
he didn't.
So, no.
But he's had help with the others.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm not saying he's not an active
Scarlet
part in this, but the naming of Shortcake.
Yeah, that was Reese.
Okay.
That was pretty much Reese. But now I had a new sighting in my backyard last night. We used to have a possum, and I had not seen the possum family in quite some time. But not only did I see mama possum, I saw 2 baby possums. 2 babies in my backyard. And I screamed, baby possums, and I scared them and they ran away. Well, apparently Bunny shares my love of the aforementioned opossum. Take a look at this video from her Instagram.
So, like I said, we've been trying to catch the skunk. We ended up catching this little nugget. I'm gonna feed him some blueberries. I don't know if I should keep it and try to just have it as a pet, or if we should let it go back in the wild. Oh, you got a mommy somewhere? We're gonna try to figure out how to get this open so that we can let him go back in the wild. My little heart hurts for him, and I just want him to live his best life.
Same, Bunny, same. My heart hurts for him. That's me when I see all of my little wildlife creatures.
Well, we all learned something.
Yes.
Possums like blueberries.
I don't know. He didn't eat them, so maybe
he seemed afraid of them,
doesn't.
like he thought he was being pelted by them. But maybe at some point when he calms down.
He might have.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do eat a lot of little insects. Possums are good to have around because they eat like mosquitoes and little bugs like that.
So are spiders.
Yeah.
Spiders eat all the stuff you don't want.
Spiders are not cute.
I don't mind spiders. I find them fascinating.
Okay.
I love the spiders.
You should come to my house. I have plenty of those too.
Okay, good.
Okay. So, Bunny, I am glad that you let him go back out into the wild.
We haven't re-upped our Nashville Zoo membership. What's your membership?
Mine's like the drive-through. You come through and you had some,
like
some
the
stuff
safari.
out.
I don't get out of my car.
That's it for
Okay.
the deer. Congratulations to our friend Rory Fake. He got married. This is such a great story and just one that made my heart swell. We were so happy for him. So Rory made headlines. He is married again 8 years after the passing of his beautiful wife that we love so much, Joey. He admits he was really nervous and didn't know if he would ever get married again, but it was his 10-year-old daughter, Indy, who kind of encouraged all of this to come together. So his new wife, her name is Rebecca, and they met several years ago when she started working at the one-room schoolhouse on his Tennessee property as a teacher to Indy.
It's so Little House on the Prairie.
Isn't it?
I think they have like a dozen students who now go to school there.
Yeah.
So
it's just the most precious thing. And, apparently they had become friends and then were dating. And it was Indy who looked at Rebecca and said, Miss Rebecca, I think you should marry Papa. Then she looks at Rory and said, I told Miss Rebecca that my mom has been gone for a long time. And if she marries you, maybe she could be my new mother. Can you believe that? What a story. Oh, it's just perfect. And we're so very happy for them. So congratulations to Rory and Rebecca and Indy and everybody out there. We love you guys. And that is just so sweet. Okay. So if you were hanging out on Broadway and you walked outside and you were like, what am I seeing? Which probably happens more often than not, if we're just being honest.
Correct. Yeah. You're usually either shocked or appalled. This one, you're pleasantly surprised. It's like, hey,
am I seeing what I'm seeing? You are. You were seeing what you were seeing. It was a flatbed trailer with Luke Combs and Post Malone just rolling down Broadway. They were recording a video. Of course, they have a collaboration. You're seeing some of the video right here. Posty doing his best dance moves, which makes me laugh. This is for Guy for that.
There's hope for my dance moves if that's good.
I didn't say it was good. I just said his best.
Yes, okay.
His best. It's not necessarily the best.
Okay.
I mean, but can you even fathom? And the funniest part was, I saw the opening video. They rolled this flatbed trailer down Broadway, and it had an awning over it. And they pushed the awning back, and there are 2 porta potties on the back of this. And they open the doors simultaneously, and Luke Combs walks out of one, and Post Malone walks out of the other.
Whoa.
Now, is that the opening of the video? I don't know. Were they hiding in there? Possibly. It was so funny. And I'm just like, I now need to hear the song and see the video, because if that's what they were shooting. But can you imagine somebody who's been like really tying one on and is already inebriated, just stumbling out and sees Luke Combs walk out of a porta potty on a rolling flatbed?
That's wanting to hide, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
I will stop eating to avoid using the porta potty. That's how much I don't want to use the porta potty. And I love eating, so that's a sacrifice on my part. But
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you saw that, don't worry. You may have been inebriated, but you weren't that far gone. It really did happen. And that song will be coming out soon. We'll get you some more details. Of course, Post Malone's album F1 Trillion is set to drop in August. So more from Post Malone still to come. Thanks for hanging out with us and all of our craziness here on Coffee, Country, and Cody. We've got more for you coming up after the break.